just because you cheer for a soccer team doesn't mean you ain't a gang. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And now you're involved in something that's pointless, and really to die over a shirt that, you know, a couple millionaires are wearing, it just makes no sense to me at the end of the day.
Let's move away from MLS, because I do want to talk. We mentioned this at the end of the episode yesterday. But Liga MX and some of the stuff, you know, Queretaro and Atlas, they obviously, if you heard about it or seen scenes from there, obviously there was a huge brawl between opposing fans. Lots of people
Horrific.
were injured. So according to, so I was just on a shouts to Nicole Hack, who tagged me in a Twitter Spaces last night. So a lot of the ISC members were on a, especially, I believe his name is Julio, the LAFC guy, Chiva Mayor. I know he goes by that. We met him, the big Mexican dude, beard guy.
High gymnastics.
All right, Jim, take care. So super nice guy, great dude. He's always, we met him at ISC, I believe in, not maybe before Baltimore. I forgot, maybe Dallas. I think maybe it's Dallas where we met him. And he was hosting a Twitter space, and it was in Spanish. So there were a lot of journalists from Mexico and people who cover the league, and they were really talking. I mean, obviously talked in general from a supporter's perspective, like what the you know, what the problems are and why, you know, this kind of culture exists where there's like violence to this degree. But I did hear some details. I've heard 91 injured total. Something around 20 or so hospitalized, and then 17 missing. So that was the number that was pretty scary.
Jesus Christ.
17, you know, they can't find these people. So as of right now, what from the reports I've heard, and I know Felipe Cárdenas and Pablo Maurer from The Athletic just flew to Mexico to Querétaro to cover this, and so The Athletic should probably have some more details and some updates about it soon. But see, so that you know, when you hear those numbers, it's obviously a ridiculous a tragedy, and something's just so
it's a tragedy that's just completely avoidable. If it was senseless. There's no reason for it. You know, if you guys want to punch each other because of a game or because you don't like each other, fine. You know, children having to get their shirts taken off them so that they don't get abused, they don't get beat up, they don't get murdered as they're running across the pitch. Families having to, you know, fathers hugging their kids and huddling as they're getting kicked so that the kids don't get kicked, and fans of Querétaro and Atlas having to stop their own supporters from kicking families and cameramen. And this was, you know, someone said it in a group chat. It was like a jail riot. It was like a jail riot.
Yeah.
But it was involving the sport we love. And look, I think, you know, Wiso said it. We talked about it yesterday. He talks about, like, you know, we have to start to come to terms. We have to start asking ourselves some serious questions. How are we as a sport going to deal with some of the elements that are surrounding the sport? I remember watching these YouTube documentaries on, you know, especially in Europe and the Scandinavian countries, you know, these kids that attach themselves to their favorite football team. And, you know, they go to the stadium and someone says, like, hey man, you want a free ticket? And they're like, hey dude, you know, why don't you come hang out with us? And these kids who have no direction in life, all of a sudden they're a part of a gang. And that's really what this is. Like, just because you cheer for a soccer team doesn't mean you ain't a gang. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And now you're involved in something that's pointless, and really to die over a shirt that, you know, a couple millionaires are wearing, it just makes no sense to me at the end of the day. I will continue to root for this sport. I will continue to love this sport. I have essentially shunned almost all other sports out of my life because there's so much of this happening. Christian and I have turned our careers of just being stand-up comics into almost really being Cooligans first, stand-up comic second, because how much is involved in doing what we do here. So I absolutely love the sport, and I want nothing to ever come between me and the sport. I love watching it. I love the people I've met through the sport. I love the friends that we have now. I love the fans that we have, all of that. But at the same time, it's like, dude, we can't sit back and just say like, nah, it's all perfect. It isn't. And look, we could sit here and talk about some of the more nefarious financial influences in the game. We could talk about all of those things. And those things are kind of hard to take care of. This we can take care of ourselves.
Yeah, and
this right here, we can make sure it doesn't happen again.
Yeah, if you know, and follow. Let me get his it's his handle, but he's the El Chiva Mayor 101. But he's a great dude. He's an LAFC guy. I'm sure you've seen him on TV. He's like a capo, a great dude. But he was, I really loved, like he really does a lot of work to try to grow the supporter culture in the country. And he's Mexican, so he also talks about what's going on in Liga MX. And he had a lot of really great points about just how, kind of what you said about the, you know, just because you're a fan of a team doesn't mean that you're not, like, you know, a delinquent or something like that. And that kind of stuff just has to be rooted out of the game. But you have to root it out of the game, even from the stands, from the supporter culture. Like, you have to hold people accountable and not let things like get out of hand. So,
and as horrific as those things are, dude, no head of state made asked for this violence or instigated this violence. No head of some major, international oil conglomerate instigated this violence. This violence was instigated by those of us. No player instigated this. This violence was instigated on this side of the pitch, on our side. We're the ones that are responsible for this shit in the end. If you're in a stadium, we got to do more. We got to ask more of our fellow fans. We've got to ask just for some. Look, I mean, I can't stop people from arguing. I can't stop people even from, light fist fights, things like that. And I'm not asking for, like, those things are common. They're part of life. As horrific as it is, it's a part of life. This is completely unavoidable. People are going to go to jail for life.
Yeah,
over a game.
I believe already
10 people were arrested. I saw that.
And but there was on somebody, and I forgot his name, but on that space last night. Said something I really liked. He said, "Somos rivales, no enemigos," meaning we're rivals, but we're not enemies, and that's like a good thing to take away from for what we it's obvious to most people, but that some people like what I didn't like, and there were already a couple questions. Some people commented in the chat and asking, like, does Mexico lose the World Cup because of this? And probably not. I don't think that's the case, but nor do I think that's necessarily the answer to resolve something like this, because whether it's with El Grito and the chant, and like clearly some people, it can be like in one ear and out the other, but the thing is not to demonize the entire league or Mexicans in general, because that doesn't really help at all. But there is there were some comments, people have been commenting online about it, and just being like, well, the culture, kids these days, and the culture of blah, and TikTok and whatever, they talk about it like this never happened before in any other part of the world. Like, this is a common thing in the game that people have been trying to remove for decades. It's not new.
Yeah, this isn't new. And look, think back to England, back with the casuals and the firms and all that. This isn't new. People have died before, but there is a part of me that thought, well, that part of the game is over. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
we're beyond that.
There were a lot of really strange videos. I mean, I can't really make sense too much of it. But there was one where I believe it might have been Queretaro fans that were trying to get into the away section, and a security guard just opened the gate. Like, maybe he was scared, but like literally there's like 20 people banging on this gate trying to get to, they want to fight these fans. And I'm like, what in the world would possess him to open the gate? The only thing I can think of is maybe he's like afraid and maybe there's not enough security. So this is something clearly Liga MX has to address and think about security at games. I know temporarily they banned away fans from going to games, but it's just so heartbreaking seeing like all the different people's different accounts of like, oh, we took a photo with like a guy took a photo with his wife, and this was 10 minutes before like chaos broke out, and and I was like terrified for my life, and I was trying, and that's why they ran onto the pitch, because the stands were so dangerous that they needed to get onto the pitch to get away from everything that was going on.
And shouts to the stewards that were helping families kind of exit the stadium through like where the players exit a little bit quicker.
Yeah.
And there was also a famous, I think his name is Palacios or Palos. There's like a famous Queretaro player who was in a private box who, when things started to go south, he ran onto the pitch to try to stop Queretaro fans from getting involved in more violence. Yeah. So shouts to people like that who stepped up in those situations. We hope the people that are missing are found. Bodies were stripped naked. I mean, it was really horrific, really horrific. Yeah, don't look up the images. It's absolutely horrific, and it sucks that we have to talk about this, but hopefully, things like this, we can take a look at this and then start to make the applicable changes that need to be made to get shit like this out of the game. Cause it's stupid, guys. I think Freddie Alarcon said it, dude, it's a kid's game. Yeah. It's for children.
Yeah. There's
imagine dying for hungry hippos.
Oh, because
the kids game.
Got it. All right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you've never played Hungry Hippos with me, bro. It can get pretty serious.
Right? Imagine getting duffed in the face because of you made the wrong move in Monopoly, or someone didn't like that you were winning a Monopoly. This is what we're talking about.
Yeah. Hopefully, everybody who was involved doing anything, criminal is captured. But yeah, it's just it was a horrible sight to see.